We're now going to start our second round of questions. Members will each have the opportunity to ask 5 minutes of questions, and I will start with a question to Secretary Mayorkas. While border apprehensions decreased slightly in fiscal year 2023 compared to fiscal year 2022, for the second year in a row, there were more than 2 million individuals apprehended crossing the southern border. Apprehensions of family units also dramatically increased in August and September of this year. We have to strengthen border security in ways that not only protect our national security, but are also humane and consistent with American values. That approach needs to include technology, personnel, and physical barriers where it is strategically useful. I'm glad to see that DHS has reversed course from the beginning of the administration and unfrozen funding to fill certain gaps in physical barriers at the border. These gaps create obvious problems, such as the 20-foot gap in fencing I saw in Texas last year when I observed people running back and forth across the border through that gap. Secretary Mayorkas, given that apprehensions are up, what additional resources and authorities does DHS need to improve security along the southern border?
Senator, thank you. I believe I have approved approximately 129 gaps and gate completions. We have sought a supplemental request, a supplemental funding request for people, technology, facilities, transportation of different varieties. We need a tremendous number of resources within, of course, as I've said repeatedly and cannot say too often, a broken system.
Thank you. I'm going to now turn to Director Wray, and again, Mr. Secretary, I'll ask you to weigh in on this as well. In the past 2 weeks, Iranian-backed terrorist groups have escalated attacks on U.S. assets in Iraq and Syria. As a result, the U.S. has engaged in several counterstrikes on Iranian-backed assets in Syria to protect our troops and equities in the region. Are you seeing an uptick in threats to Americans at home or abroad, and what are your agencies doing to increase security at home in light of these growing tensions? And are you concerned about potential retaliation here in the homeland due to the U.S. counterstrikes in Syria?
So a whole number of things packed into that. Yeah. First, we definitely believe that there's a heightened risk of potential violence here in the U.S., especially from lone actors inspired by any number of foreign terrorist organizations or by domestic ideologies in some way using the conflict as an excuse or a justification, as horrendous and misguided as that would be, to conduct attacks here against Jewish Americans, Muslim Americans, Arab Americans, et cetera. So we're definitely concerned about that, and we are seeing an increase in reported threats, whether it's bomb threats to synagogues, some physical assaults. I mentioned in my opening statement some of the arrests we've had. So we're concerned about that. Second, I am concerned, as I said in my opening statement, that foreign terrorist organizations, traditional, formal terrorist organizations, whether they be Al-Qaeda or ISIS or Hezbollah, have all made statements that would indicate a greater risk of a potential attack here by them. We are not currently tracking an imminent credible threat from a foreign terrorist organization, a structured attack here or something like that, but it is something that we think heightened vigilance is warranted for. And when it comes to Iran and its strategic partner, Hezbollah, I think it's important for Americans to understand that even before this conflict, we're dealing with an adversary that just in the past couple of years has tried to kill a former U.S. national security advisor on U.S. soil, tried to kidnap and then kill an American journalist right smack in the middle of New York City, conducted a cyber attack, attempted a cyber attack against a children's hospital, and tried to interfere in the last presidential election, as Director Ratcliffe and I called out at a press conference in the fall of 2020. That's all on top of being the leading state sponsor of terrorism. So if that's not enough to convince people that Iran is a threat to the U.S., I don't know what would be.
Well, I thank you for that comprehensive answer. Because I'm running low on time, Mr. Secretary, I'll follow up in a question for the record on that. I also will follow up on the issue of northern border security with you. As you know, we have seen an uptick on unauthorized and illegal crossings on the northern border. Part of the thing we are dealing with in New Hampshire and all across the northern border is a lack of technological infrastructure, including cell service and broadband, that makes it very hard for some of our personnel to do their work at the border as effectively as they need to. So I'd like to confer with you. I'll ask a question for the record about how we make sure we are getting the resources we need at the northern border to keep our country safe. Thank you.